The streets of Jerusalem were packed. Thousands of people had traveled from all over to celebrate Passover, filling the city with noise and excitement. But away from the crowds, Jesus sat quietly, sharing an evening meal with his disciples. These were men he had traveled with, taught, and called his friends. Yet beneath the surface of this gathering, Jesus was holding a terrifying reality. He knew exactly what was coming. Within hours, he would be arrested, beaten, and forced to face an agonizing death. Then he looked around the table and told his closest followers, "One of you will betray me." One of his own followers, Judas Iscariot, had already agreed to hand him over to the authorities. The agreed price was just 30 pieces of silver, the standard cost of a slave. Even knowing his life had been valued so cheaply by someone sitting directly in front of him, Jesus didn't expose Judas to the group. Instead, he got down on the floor and washed Judas's feet. Faced with impending doom, his immediate response was an act of grace rather than self-preservation. After supper, Jesus retreated to the quiet moonlight of the Garden of Gethsemane. The physical danger was drawing closer, but his internal storm had already begun. The Bible describes his soul as being deeply troubled. He fell to the ground to pray. He had the power to walk away, to stop the entire process and save himself, but he made the conscious choice to stay. He chose to carry the weight of every lie, every act of hatred, and every sin ever committed, prioritizing the viewer's salvation over his own comfort. Suddenly, the darkness broke. Soldiers entered the garden holding torches, and leading them was Judas. He walked up to Jesus and kissed him. He used a universal symbol of friendship and love to execute his betrayal. The soldiers immediately grabbed Jesus. The disciples, the same men who had promised to protect him, panicked. They scattered and fled into the night. Jesus stood there, completely alone. Have you ever felt totally abandoned, rejected by the people you trusted most? Jesus understands that exact feeling because he experienced it himself. The isolation in the garden was only the beginning. The soldiers mocked him, they beat him, they forced a crown made of sharp thorns onto his head. The one who created the stars was now being physically tortured and spat on by his own creation. Then came the heavy, rough timber of the cross. Exhausted and bleeding, Jesus was forced to drag it through the streets while crowds of people watched, some weeping, others cheering for his death. He eventually reached Golgotha, the place of the skull. This marked the geographic location where history would change and the peak of his physical isolation began. Iron nails were driven through his hands and his feet. The heavy wooden cross was hoisted upward, leaving him suspended in agony between heaven and earth. Suspended there, struggling for breath while people laughed at him, the natural human response would be rage. Most would have screamed for revenge or demanded judgment. But Jesus was about to respond in a way that shocked everyone. Looking down at the very men who were killing him, he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Even while dying, his mercy persisted. A criminal hanging on a cross beside him admitted his own mistakes and asked to be remembered. Jesus turned to him and promised, "Today you will be with me in paradise." As darkness covered the land, Jesus spoke his final words, "It is finished." This was the announcement that his mission to pay the debt for human sin was complete. 3 days later, the ending was reversed. The tomb where they buried him was found entirely empty. Jesus rose again. This resurrection demonstrated that his self-sacrificing love was resilient enough to survive even the grave. It proved that betrayal, suffering, and death do not have the final word. By choosing to endure the full weight of abandonment on the cross, Jesus removed the barrier that separates people from God. Because he survived that ultimate isolation, he can now offer a presence that is never withdrawn, ensuring that you never have to face life alone. This forgiveness is available to you today, regardless of your past. If this touched your heart, type "Jesus loves me" in the comments to claim that hope. Remember, You are loved more than you can imagine. God bless you.